Hafide, Mogatine, and Yakwe. Welcome back. One Micronesia podcast. We're here with another episode, and we're back into the Zoom room here. And because we need to reach out, the power of the Zoom is we get to reach out to other Micronesians who are out and abroad doing amazing things out in the States or wherever they're at, which is not Guam. So with me here on this episode, I'm speaking, and I'm it's we're finally meeting it for the first time, and not in person but in Zoom. I'm here with Loling Morris from the Marshall Islands, who is out in the States. Loling, thank you and welcome to the podcast, bro.
Blessed, brother. Blessed.
All right, so Loling, we're gonna get to know you in a little bit. We're gonna get to know the song that just came out. It's on Instagram, it's on YouTube. We're gonna talk about that song coming up in just a little bit, but we get to know our interviewees every time we jump on. So let's get to know you a little bit. Tell us more about Loling Morris.
I was born and raised in the Marshall Islands. I had that passion of that dream of becoming something that we Marshallese don't never really saw. So that's why I'm here right now.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And I mean, you're a performer. Um, you're a singer. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like, how did it all start for you? I mean, let's face it. I mean, you're from the Marshall Islands, and I know every kid in the Marshall Islands is a talented musician and singer. So let's tell us more about how it all started for you. Was it the ukulele first? Was it singing in church? What was first for you?
It's a funny story, bro. um, when I started this, so I grew up in a town. They say Uliga, right? Hey, represent. It's the you represent to my people. But yeah, man, I grew up in a town where they called American Town, and we were the outcasts. Like we just moved into that town, right? It was a military town, and it was like half ass kids, and they had so much toys and all that, and we're the kids that on the side just biting on nails like I want that. So
Mm-hmm.
I got so fascinated about guitars and ukulele, right? So since my parents couldn't afford to
Mm-hmm.
get me one, I had to be creative. I cut up a piece of wood and put like fishing line, four nails on the both sides, started jamming to it right by the road, and that's when people started to noticing that I could be a singer. So that's when it all started. I was 7 years old.
Wow. Talk about the struggle is real. Talk about started from the bottom. Now we're here. Wow, that's a very amazing story to talk about it. You know, a kid who didn't have anything but made something out of something, and now you're where you're at. You have your own guitar, which has a ton of amazing, beautiful stickers. One of them is the Marshall Islands and the flag. It's crazy. So talk about that, man. So you were a kid born and raised in the Marshalls. At what point in time did you decide to just pack up and just like move to the States and start another life?
Back in 2008, I was expecting a daughter, a beautiful daughter. Her name is Zaria. Zaria, shout out to you in Maui. That's when I had to decide to move just to, leave home for like upcoming life of a father. And then when I went to Hawaii, that's when I saw so much opportunities of becoming a musician, and I saw some friends like Les Anjola, Flavor C, Juno June, all these good Marshallese artists, FOB, Lagoon. That's when I started, you know, get into the mix. So I was blessed to meet these beautiful people, man.
Wow, that's awesome. That's an amazing story. So it all started for you in Hawaii, and then because now you're currently in what state?
I'm in Seattle right now.
Nice. So talk about that transition, because it's always hard for us islanders if you were born and raised right in the islands, and then you make a decision one day to up and then pack up and move to a totally different a totally different area where everything is new. We're experiencing new things now. I mean, we're going through things where we didn't experience in the island. So talk about that transition for you, and how was it easy? Was the transition easy for you? Was it hard?
It was pretty tough at times, but in another way, it was kind of easy.
Hmm.
Just in a way of you know, getting that opportunity of trying to get something that you really dreamed of growing
Hmm.
up. But along the way, sometimes you feel like you're giving up. You know what I mean? Because it's a different world. It's a different scene. You know what I mean?
It is definitely, and I mean, in this world, we're grinding every single day to to
Mhm.
to make ends meet. Like to put food on the table. You talk about that. To keep our lives going. We're always on this 24/7 grind, and to make sure that we have and our family is taken care of. So that's amazing to see that the transition was tough, but it for you it looks like it all kind of worked out, and now you're in you're living in a way that you're getting used to, and you're definitely talk about getting used to. Well, let's go talk about your because I saw on your Instagram that you do open mics. That's amazing. I mean, a boy from the islands out in the states and doing open mics in front of a totally different crowd. Let's talk about that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time I tried it, I was very nervous, man. But when I grabbed the mic, I started to realize that I'm the only Marshallese doing it.
Hmm.
So I gotta represent, you know, not only
Hmm.
for Marshallese. I'm not representing only Marshallese people, man. I'm representing all Asian countries, So
That's
we
right.
gotta be out there, bro.
That's amazing. And then I love that you said that because, especially with Islanders out there, it's not about just Micronesia, but you guys talk about this whole camaraderie that you guys have around other Nesians. You talk about Melanesian, Polynesian. I think it's a very out there. It's this, we're all here, we're all Islanders. Why not support each other? That's
We
awesome.
have to.
Hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Lowling man, we're gonna take a break, but when we come back, we're gonna talk about your new song that's out. It's called "We Will Survive." Talk about the writing process. Talk about the recording process. Talk about what the meaning of the song is, because it's such a very powerful song that's about the Marshall Islands and what the Marshall Islands is going through right now. So we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back. You're watching the One Micronesia podcast. We'll be right back. Hafide Mogitin and Yakwe, we're back. One Micronesia podcast. Now this is the part where we go and talk about amazing things that this guy's done. And one of the latest things that he's done is a song called We Will Survive. It's on YouTube, on Voices Rising, their YouTube page. It's such a beautiful, inspiring, and at the same time, a powerful song that has very, very powerful meaning behind it. So, Loling, let's talk about the writing process in this song. Talk about, let's just start there, the writing process and the meaning behind it.
Meaning behind "We Will Survive" is, there's nothing we could do, even if we could try so much to try to change the way people live nowadays. The only thing we could do is just tell each other that we will still survive. You know, 'cause life is just uh, has those precious moments that you gotta live up to. So all we gotta do is just tell my people back home we will survive, man. It doesn't matter if we're sinking, 1.5 to stay alive, but we will still survive.
Wow, that's amazing. And then that's such a very, like I said, inspiring song that literally is giving the people hope, and then I think that's at the same time, like, and I think one of the most beautiful thing about the people from the Marshall Islands is you guys never back down from any fight. And I've talked to a lot of Marshallese on the podcast here, and that's always what they go back to is that whole idea of we're going to keep fighting. We're going to fight all the way. And you talk about, and if people are out there watching right now, and you're asking what the issue is, and it's global warming and sea level rise, and how it's affected the Marshall Islands and the islands here and in the Pacific as a whole. And we see the glaciers up in the North Pole and the South Pole melting, and that's one of the effects is it's affecting our islands. And Lowling here is singing about we will survive, giving people hope that we'll fight on, and we'll definitely see it through to the other end. So, man, it's such a powerful song. Let's talk about the. So you wrote the song. You're talking to your people. You're talking to the Marshallese people and telling them that hey, it's okay. We're gonna keep fighting, and we'll definitely survive. Um, talk about the recording part of it. Was it recorded there in the states? Was it record?
Just want to give a shout out to After 95 Creation and Voices Rising. These 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 guys, man, I'm so blessed to have ever met them, to ever been into this situation of trying to create something powerful, you know, a message like that. So um I wrote that song right when I was recording it. It was right out of the get-go, you know.
Mhm.
So they gave me the idea and I just wrote it because I was feeling it. I felt something that I usually felt when I was back home, you know. So that's when I wrote it, and the first thing that came in to my mind was, I'm standing on a piece of rock, so a little tiny island. So as it went off from there.
That's awesome, man. And it's always and especially for you, you were born and raised in the Marshall Islands. You felt it, you saw it, you saw what people were experiencing, and then having moved and then writing a song about it. I think it's very true, and everything, every word in every line of that song speaks truth, and has, that's why it has so much power behind it.
Well, I try my best to not leave my people behind of any success that I would ever go through.
That's awesome. That's how it is, and that's pretty much how we all should think about it. All of us islanders out and abroad doing their thing. That at the end of any at the end of it, at some point in time, we should never forget our roots and never forget where we came from. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
exactly what you're doing. That's awesome,
It's
man.
always about the roots, brother.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's it. All right, Loling, we're gonna take a break, but when we come back, we're definitely gonna talk about what's new, what's in stores for Loling here in 2022 and beyond. We'll talk more about that. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. You're watching the One Mike Ninja podcast. Today, Mokitin and Yakwe, the last part of the podcast. We're still here with Marshallese performer Loling Morris. Loling, man, such an awesome talk we have here. I wish we had all the time in the world to just kick it back and chit chat. But hey, maybe one day when you come back to the islands or I'm in there in the States, we'll meet and we'll definitely kick back. But until then, talk to young artists watching right now, young Micronesian artists who someday want to do what you're doing, performing, making music videos, doing albums. What message do you have for them?
To the ones that are back home that has dreams, you know how people when they say, I have a dream. No, don't put it a dream, man. Live it. It's a life. If you want it, go get it. Nobody else is gonna go get it for you, man. You gotta go get it for yourself. I come from, all of us, man, we all come from the slums. We've been living so many things and in so many ways that we couldn't it blocks our views of something really good for all of us that we could, you know, be successful and it provide for people that grew up the same way that I did, you know? So when you have that dream, man, you don't catch it, eat it, catch it with your mouth.
All right. Well, there you heard it, man. Well, Loling, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast here. Before I let you go, where can people go follow you? Where can people go watch your videos, your album, all of that?
But yeah, just follow Lowly Morris. It's just simple. It's Lowly Morris, search it everywhere, any kind of social media, whatever. And then, if you see a Marshallese guy with a dreadlock, that's the only Lowly Morris.
There you go. All right. Well, Brother Loling, thank you so much for the time. I know you just got off work, you're tired, but you agreed to jump on the podcast here. Thank you so much. I mean, get home safely. And I'll, like I said, hopefully someday, we'll meet and we'll definitely kick back.
Yeah, I got you, my brother. Hey, anything for the islands, man.
There
Hey,
you go.
blessed love.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Another podcast in the books. One Micronesia podcast. Loling, thank you so much. You watching. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you on the next one. My name is Victorious. All I've got to say is peace.